All right, here's the table and the benches in the beginning of the project. You can see here the coating is almost totally gone on the tabletop. And this is a varathane. This is an oil-based varathane coating. And this stuff just does not hold up in the sunshine, like, at all. So this table's been sitting out here for about 2 years now. And this is how the varathane looks after 2 years of just pure sun. This is Southern California weather, so it's just pretty much all sun, not too much rain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand all this stuff off, get it down to bare wood, and then we're going to put a new, not varathane coating. We're going to put some sort of wood sealer on there, and we'll get that later. So here is the bench that faces the sun. It's not as bad, but it still looks absolutely terrible. And then here's the bench over here that doesn't face the sun as much. The coating's still there, but the color is just absolutely terrible. It's gone like a ashy looking color, and it looks terrible. So what I'm using to sand it is this Ryobi belt sander. It's probably like a 3-inch width, and this is some really gritty 50 grit sandpaper. This stuff's really good. I have a bunch of these. You can just keep using it. It just gets finer with time, which is fine. These things are pretty cheap. You can get them at Home Depot, but they work really well. I would definitely not recommend trying to do this with like a vibration sander or any other kind of sander. It would take forever. These belt sanders are the way to go. When you're using this thing, I definitely recommend using some earplugs. I got some little disposable ones here. This thing can get pretty loud after a while, but what I want to show you right now is you can see I've only been hitting this for a few minutes, and you can already see the difference. So the wood's coming back to life nicely. I just want to take a quick second to talk about wood color. So you can see here, wood that's been freshly sanded has a really beautiful color to it. It's whatever, depending on what type of wood it is, it's some type of brown right here. But over time, you know, as the UV sunlight hits it, all wood will turn to this gray color. So that's why, you know, a lot of times, well, people paint wood or they'll put some sort of protectant on it, but also that protectant commonly has a tint or a color to it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, hey, I'm going to override the natural color of the wood, put some sort of artificial color of the wood in there so it'll last a lot longer. We'll talk more about that later. All right, it's just a quick tangent about like different kind of coatings. This is a fence I built probably 3-4 years ago now, and it's got a bare deck stain and sealer on it, and you can see here it actually looks really good after 3 or 4 years, but it doesn't get direct sunlight. The sun comes in from the right to the left, so the sun never actually hits this side, but it actually looks really good still after 3 or 4 years. All right, this is a fence here that I built probably 5 years ago now, and originally I had a Helmsman polyurethane, which is a water-based coating on it. So what I did is I stained the wood, and then I put that sealer on it, and it didn't last very long. This thing gets direct sunlight all year long. So you can see here the coating just like peels up, especially on the tops where it gets the sunshine, like all the tops. So this thing's actually been coated a few different times with additional coats of the bare deck stain and sealer to kind of help it last. And it looks okay. I mean, you just keep on adding to it. You don't actually take it off. You're just kind of adding to the tops over time. All right, the last fence I'm going to show you is over on the other side of the house. And this fence is probably 2 or 3 years old. And this was coated with the bare deck stain and sealer, which is a polyurethane. I think it's a polyurethane blend. But I actually mixed 2 different colors. I mixed the red with the gray kind of to produce this nice brown. And it looks fantastic still. This thing does also get really direct sunlight, but I haven't seen any chipping or any peeling. So this thing goes all the way down, and the wood is cracked, but the sealer is still holding up pretty good. All right, this is the coating that I'm really actually happy with. This is the bare, it's called waterproofing wood finish, I guess. I call it deck and fence sealer, but this stuff actually works really well. But it does produce that, it does put that layer on the top of the wood. It doesn't penetrate into the wood. So I'm a little bit hesitant to put on a tabletop, but for fences and gates, I think this stuff is really cool. All right, now this is the stuff I would not recommend at all. So I've used this stuff many years ago, and it looks fantastic when you first put it on, but it does not last. So it just puts that thin film on, it's actually not even thin. It puts a film on the surface. it can be really thick if you put a lot of layers on. But over time, it just chips up and peels up, and you're not gonna be happy with it if you put it in sunshine. This is the last product I do not recommend. I use this on a bunch of projects too, and I really wish I hadn't. You definitely have to go in over time and add more, or take it off and put something else on. So this Minwax Helmsman, I would not use it on outdoor at all. I don't care if it says outdoor, don't use it. So this is the product that they had at the Home Depot, and I was a little hesitant because it's pretty cheap. It's only 25 bucks for like a gallon. But it's pretty much what I want. It's it's a wood stain and sealer in one. It's an oil based. It says it's an acrylic oil. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it is oil based, so it's going to soak in, and I can keep adding more over time if I don't like the appearance or if it fades a certain way. And I like that about it. And because it has color, if I add more on the top, it's going to actually add color into the tabletop again. So I kind of like that too. So that's why I chose it, and they had it at Home Depot. Obviously, I don't have time to go to like a wood finishing store. Just have to use whatever they have, my local Home Depot. So we'll see how it goes. So here's the table after it's been fully sanded. You can see I think the table was originally stained because I took off all the color and it turned back into this nice light color. And I think it looks pretty cool right now. We'll see how it accepts the stain. But it took probably maybe a little over an hour to do the whole thing. And you just gotta be careful about all your edges, make sure you don't have any sharp edges anywhere. Also, lastly, I'm gonna tell you that I didn't sand it super fine. I left it, I sanded it with a 50 grit, but I mean, it's a hard wood, so it didn't rough up too much. But actually, what I found is that if you leave the wood a little bit rougher, it's gonna just accept more of the stain, and so it's gonna make it a little bit darker. That's all it is. If the wood's really rough, it's gonna come really dark. If it's super smooth, then nothing's gonna soak in. It's gonna be super light. So since I want this to darken up a bit, I'm gonna leave it a little bit rougher. So hopefully it'll accept more stain and darken up. So I've got half the table done now. And you can see it adds a little bit of like redness to the wood. So it looks pretty cool. I wasn't sure what it was gonna turn out like because the thing just said woodland cedar color. So what the hell does that mean? Who knows? But apparently that's what woodland cedar color looks like. This table looks very rustic. This is not an indoor table, clearly. This is like a rustic outdoor table, which is kind of my style. So I'm happy with it. I think it looks cool. I'm not gonna do one coat. I'm gonna do at least 2, maybe 3. And this stuff actually goes on really nicely. It goes on just like the waterproofing sealer. You can tell it's not as thin as stain. It's got a little bit of substance to it, but it brushes really easily, and so it looks pretty cool so far. All right, now this is how it looks fully done. This is 2 coats, and the second one doesn't dry as fast because it doesn't seep into the wood, so it's still a little bit glossy. But this is how it looks right now. All right, so here's the table after it's dried for a day. You can see it. The shine has gone down. It looks pretty matte, and I'm satisfied with the result. It's not exactly what I expected, but I think it looks really cool. So let's just do a comparison. There's old versus new, and I think it looks great. So obviously I'm going to do this next, but I wanted to show you this while I have it.